What's up, YouTube? This is Devilosa from Devilosa Reviews. It is currently 5:30 in the morning. Those of you that are from the East Coast, you guys probably know from all these Disney Plus shows with Mandalorian, WandaVision. It's pretty tough to watch the show on time and not deal with the spoilers that riddle through Twitter and Instagram and YouTube and all that. So hopefully you understand the struggle that it is out here. But on to the topic. WandaVision episode 6 just dropped on Disney Plus, and here are my thoughts. So this is a spoiler review for WandaVision episode 6. So for those of you that haven't seen the episode, this is your time to either check the episode out for yourself. It's about 30 minutes. And then come back, or you can click on another video, preferably one of mine. Alright. WandaVision episode 6 is the Halloween episode. Now, those of you that's seen the trailer, you guys seen that Wanda wears the classic Scarlet Witch outfit from the comics. Then you have Vision wearing a comic accurate suit himself. And then, for those of you that remember from the last episode, or pretty much the whole world knows that Quicksilver is in the show, but it's not Aaron Taylor Johnson from Age of Ultron. No, it is Evan Peters from the Fox X-Men movies. He's in the show as well, and he does wear his comic accurate suit, as ridiculous as it looks. And then also they even threw in Wiccan's comic accurate suit as well. Those of you that don't know, Wiccan is Billy Maximoff, who is one of Wanda's twin sons. They threw in that costume as well, so I thought that was a nice touch. Now, in terms of this episode, there's a lot going on in these episodes. I want to kind of address about some of the issues that I'm starting to notice after seeing a few episodes now. Don't worry, this won't be too long, but I still think it's important to address my points. In terms of Sword at this point in time, this is episode 6 right now, and we're getting a little bit more and more about Sword, and there's starting to be some issues for me in terms of Sword and how much I can believe that they have in terms of what they're showing me. For example, Sword seems to have a lot of resources, a lot of intel, a lot of information about stuff that doesn't seem to be on certain levels, if that makes sense. Like, for example, when they talk about the endgame fight against Thanos, there is a lot of footage in terms of what was going on. There's a lot of footage from some of the other events from the fight on Sokovia, or the bombing in Lagos by Wanda herself. There's a lot of intel from Sword that I don't know how much I can believe that Sword as a individual organization of its own are able to obtain the rights to this kind of stuff. Now, if they explain that SHIELD broke off after the Infinity War or something like that, if they have something like that where SHIELD broke off and made Sword, then I could buy it. But again, if SHIELD and Sword are separate, I don't see them sharing intel, if that makes sense. And I'm not saying that I don't know where Sword came from, because I know some people forget, but in Far From Home, Sword had a little cameo at the end of Far From Home in the end credit scene where Nick Fury was in space in the Sword Station. So yeah, there's that. Something else from Sword, Monica Rambeau. Now, it's not what you think. I really like Monica Rambeau. I really like Tiana Paris. I think she is a perfect casting choice for Monica Rambeau. She's extremely gorgeous herself. But going off that, my only thing about Monica at this moment in time is that she's just a little bit too un like it's kind of like she's having a lot of moments where I'm questioning how does she know this information that she is saying or that she's telling other people. Like one of my in my last episode with when I reviewed with Shaq from the YB podcast, he was telling me how Monica was describing exactly how Wanda was serving up Thanos in Endgame, and I didn't remember it at the time, but when I rewatched the episode, she does recount how Wanda was able to best Thanos before he rained fire on her. And again, that's kind of information that like you wouldn't really know if you were not there, if that makes sense. And then also like there's a lot of like her trying to defend Wanda with Hayward and the rest of the Sword agents and all that. And now I understand the point of it, like trying to get Sword. You need to see the good and the bad of Wanda. That makes sense to me. But it's just Monica doesn't have that much of an attachment to Wanda as a person, as a character. So like that's why it's a little hard for me to buy. Like she's really defending Wanda when she doesn't really have a good reason to do that. And I know she helped give birth to Wanda's twins, but that's not the same thing. And also like she did disrespect you in front of all of your colleagues when Wanda came out of the static wall. So there's that as well. So it's just the believability of Monica is not really up to what I expect as of right now. Now, if it was Hawkeye, Hawkeye makes a bit more sense. Hawkeye can defend Wanda because he does know her personally and he can defend her, but Monica doesn't have the same credentials as Hawkeye, if that makes sense. Going back to the sitcom world, Vision, in the last episode, he started to get a lot more pieces of this world being fictional, the world that he's in at the moment, and he gets more and more doubts. He did bring Norm out of his reality to know that yeah he's being manipulated by someone, and he starts to question Wanda about like why is this world so perfect. I remember I remember like we keep talking about children, but it seems like we're the only ones that have children. Everybody else seems to like there's no children anywhere. And then in this episode, there's a bunch of children, which is convenient because it's a Halloween episode. And obviously we know Wanda is trying to cover her tracks like that. So Vision is getting more skeptical. He starts to experience, try to go on an adventure on his own, trying to see what is going on with this world. So he tries to go farther and farther outside of the town and more towards the outskirts where the static wall is. And if during the episode you see when Vision goes farther and farther out, there are a bunch of characters or the actors in the TV show where they're all frozen. Like they can't move, they can't like they're in their Halloween costumes and like doing events, but the thing is they're all frozen in that time. So my guess is that Wanda has to physically be in the presence for them to do actions. Otherwise, they're just background nothing to that situation. So when Vision does go out, he tries to communicate with some of these people, but he is not able to. But he does find Agnes out there as well. There's a lot of talks about Agnes, who she possibly can be. I've said in my WandaVision trailer breakdown, I had a feeling that she was Agatha Harkness. Now she did seem a bit confused about seeing Vision when Vision does touch her head, and she does say like Wanda is controlling our minds, like we have to do what she says and all that mindset and stuff like that. And then you have then you have Agnes saying like I mean, she recognized that Vision is an Avenger, but then she says she's confused because Vision is dead in the real world, which Vision, not just from this episode, from all the way from episode 1, Vision doesn't have any sort of memories of his life before the sitcom world. Vision only knows from the sitcom to where he is right now. That's all the information he knows at the moment. He doesn't know anything about his life as an Avenger outside of the bubble. Yeah, Vision does try to go and see what is this outside world like. So he goes to the static wall. He tries to go in, and it turns out that Hayward was able to track where Vision was using his traces of vibranium in his body. And since Vision in the real world is decaying in his vibranium skeleton, he's able to track that based on that information alone. And they were able to sense where Vision was, and they were aware that Vision was going towards the barrier. And Vision does try to break through the barrier himself, but he starts to notice that his skin is deteriorating because in the real world, Vision is not alive. He's dead. So he starts dying, and then we see, actually, just to go back a little bit further with Wanda and Quicksilver. So Wanda and Quicksilver were doing this back and forth about, like, how are you doing this? What was your life before? She's trying to prod questions out of him, like, like, do you remember this back when we were kids? And then he could answer that, but then he also says, like, why is your accent different? Why is your accent different? That was a bit funny. And there was some clever nods. There's a joke where Evan Peters says the word kick-ass. Now, if you guys know, Aaron Taylor Johnson was a character in the movie Kick-Ass, so I think that was a little nod to him. So I found that pretty funny. And then also you have Evan Peters. He is able to kind of break the fourth wall, not in terms of like Deadpool, but like he is aware of this world being a fictional world. He's aware that Wanda clearly made this reality, like where, and then she had to backtrack, like making children so that the episode can fit this Halloween setting. He's trying to ask her, like, how are you doing this anyways? Like you can tell me the truth. But she says that she doesn't even know how she's actually doing this. Like, she just remembers she was depressed, she was alone, and then it just sort of happened. Now, for those of you that read House of M, there could be some other magical forces out there. I'm not gonna entirely unknot that, not right now, but just pointing that out. But Wanda is a powerful magician herself, so like it's not necessarily impossible for her to have this. But again, one of the biggest issues with Wanda in general right now is her power scaling is a bit way too high. Comparing from Age of Ultron to WandaVision, her power scaling has exponentially increased by a lot. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but again, I still feel like in terms of doing this reality, in terms of controlling a bunch of people in this town, in terms of Quicksilver being there, because Wanda did confirm she's not the one bringing Quicksilver back in the show. If she were to do that, she would clearly bring back the Age of Ultron Quicksilver, not the Fox one. So we'll have to wait and see. This was the last 30-minute episode of the season, but there are 3 more episodes gonna occur, and each of those episodes will be 1 hour each, and I'll be looking forward to that. But before you tell me you're forgetting the ending, don't worry, I got you. at the ending, you have Wiccan, or Billy, I guess. Billy is able to sense that his father is in danger. Now, Billy does have his mother's powers. He has the magical powers of his mother, and his brother Tommy, who is Speed in the comics, he has the father of his uncle, Pietro, Quicksilver. And yeah, so they start developing their powers. You get to see Speed running like Quicksilver, and then you see Wiccan using his powers as well, like Scarlet Witch. And he's able to sense that his father's in danger, and in response to that, Wanda, now the thing is, Quicksilver kind of did her dirty by like saying, I don't know why you're worried, it's not like your husband can die twice, and then that got her pissed off, and she flung him out using magic, and then she just got up and just expanded the hexagon farther and farther out, and the people who were based there in Sword, they started to she's starting to absorb a lot of the Sword agents into the hexagon. So by the end of the episode, well, I guess just a little bit before, Monica and Jimmy were able to get away. Darcy stayed behind. So Darcy herself got entrapped to the hexagon, including Vision and a lot of the Sword agents. A lot of them got absorbed by the hexagon, while Hayward and a few other agents with him, and then Monica and Jimmy, they all got away from the hexagon. Now, it cut before we could actually see that, but I'm assuming that they did get away. And that was the end of the episode. So what did I think of the episode? I think it was a pretty decent episode. I still have questions, don't get me wrong. I'm kind of accepting a few of the questions I'm having right now because I do like this mystery sort of aspect of the show. I think it's a refreshing take in Marvel, because I've said my piece on Marvel. I feel like I like Marvel a lot, but there are some moments where it feels very formulaic, very samey, like the standard hero archetype that always happens in every movie. And I like this new change of pace with WandaVision, in terms of that. But I do have some legitimate questions regarding Sword, Monica herself, and Wanda's power scaling. But overall, I still enjoyed the episode, and I still can't wait to see the rest of the season, see where it pans out. So let me know in the comments down below what you thought about WandaVision, what you think about episode 6, what do you think about the season so far? Do you think it's pretty good? Do you think it's mediocre? Do you think it's overrated? Just let me know. Thanks for watching. If you like reviews and opinions on movies, comics, TV shows, and video games, you can support my channel by clicking the like button, subscribe, and click the bell for notifications for future videos. Also, you can check my playlist of my current anniversary videos that I've been doing. I've been talking about Toy Story, A Clockwork Orange, Taxi Driver. There's a new one coming out this Sunday, so be on the lookout for what that is. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Peace.